Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our October 16th meeting of the Webster Board of Education. Would you please stand with us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, may we have a motion, please, to move out of executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. You've had a chance to look at the agenda tonight. I am aware of one extra board business, would be under A2, which will be a discussion on the Smart Bond Act. There'll be no action taken, just a discussion. Are there any other additions to the agenda tonight?
Yes. Could we just add a real brief discussion to see who wants a school law book?
Sure. I'll put that at number 3. School law.
Do that through email?
Huh?
Just want to do it through email?
Well, you could do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do it real quick. Any other additions? May we have a motion, please, then, to accept the agenda
As revised.
as revised? Thank you, Tom. Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. We do provide the public with an opportunity to address the board. We ask that any comments be brief, no longer than 5 minutes, and related to school matters. Personnel matters, whether directly or indirectly, will not be discussed in public. If you do have a personnel concern, it can be addressed in writing to the board. With that being said, does anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? Okay, we'll move on to our school student liaisons. Mary, do you want to go first?
Good evening, board members.
Hi, Mary.
It continues to be an exciting fall at Thomas. Having just come off our homecoming week, each day was filled with different themes and class competitions. On Thursday, the day ended with the always highly anticipated pep rally. Each class filled the bleachers wearing their class colors. The freshmen wore red, sophomores pink, juniors in blue, and seniors in purple. Each class was trying to be the winner of the Spirit Stick. Mr. Gamina, I would like to thank you for coming to witness all the spirit the Titans have, and I hope your ears aren't still ringing. The senior class found out at halftime of the homecoming football game that they won the Spirit Stick. It was truly a great week for all the Titan family. Our fall sports teams are wrapping up their league play this week. The girls soccer, field hockey, football, and boys cross-country teams all won their divisions. Sectional play begins next week, so we are hoping we continue with our success. We are proud of our athletes on and off the field, as our sports teams continue to donate their time to community service efforts, like the Buddy Walk, where our football players supported the Down Syndrome's Network. Our marching band took home first place trophy from their competition in Syracuse last weekend, and we wish them well at the Autumn Fanfare this Saturday at Schrader at 5:30. Next week, on Monday and Thursday night, there will be the first concert of the season, and it will be the Prism Concerts, which is a unique format for a concert with no breaks in between the amazing acts. Thomas is hosting his second statewide Link Leadership Training Conference on October 23rd. 20 of our Link leaders will attend, along with students and staff from schools throughout New York and Pennsylvania. We hope it is as successful as last year. Our counseling center has been busy hosting 60 colleges so far to speak with interested students. We have at least 40 more college reps coming through mid-November. We have a professor coming from RIT tomorrow to speak with students about the field of biotechnology. I will be one of over 400 juniors taking the exciting PSAT this Saturday morning at Thomas. It's hard to believe that our first quarter marking period will be over in 3 weeks. It's amazing how quickly time flies. Thank you. Can I answer any questions?
Thank you, Mary. Maria?
Good evening, board members. Last Sunday was the Push Yourself 5K to raise money for lymphoma, leukemia research, the Open Door Mission, and Rochester Crime Stoppers. This 5K was spearheaded by Paul and Amanda Valeni 5 years ago that has grown over the years and continues to grow. Speaking of growing, Mrs. DeBacco's personal finance students are learning that money doesn't grow on trees. Students have begun their participation in the H&R Block Budget Challenge, encountering real-world personal budgeting situations, problem-solving, and decision-making through online simulations. This encourages students to learn personal finance in a fun and encouraging way, while competing against other classrooms and students for $3 million in classroom grants and student scholarships. Our very own student, Sarah Provenzano, wrote an article in the Webster Post titled, "Student Calls for Textbooks to Tell the Whole Story." This article talks about the inaccuracies in American history courses, which fail to include the whole story of heroic figures such as Helen Keller and Woodrow Wilson. History describes these figures as heroic and respectable people, yet does not mention that Helen Keller was a radical socialist and Woodrow Wilson reluctantly led the United States into World War I. Sarah mentions that textbook authors should reveal the truth to students because horrification causes us to believe that historical figures are perfect, giving an unrealistic role model to follow and keeping us unaware of our true history. Tomorrow, one of our chemistry teachers, Mrs. Julian, will be heading to Geneseo to sit in the Distinguishing Chemistry Alumni Panel for a Celebrating the Sciences event for homecoming weekend. She was invited to be a part of a 5-person panel and will be talking to undergrads about her career path and giving them general advice. Congratulations to the girls' tennis team for winning the Section 5 championships this year. I now open the floor to questions.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Actually, we do have a question.
We have one.
And maybe you could find out for the next board meeting. How many students are taking the personal finance class?
It said around 300, I think.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll double check that number. That's cool. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, let's hear from WTA.
Good evening, Board.
Hello?
Lisa?
Tonight, WTAs will highlight all the teachers at DeWitt Road Elementary School. The school's mascot is the panda. The teachers focus on providing an educational environment in which all the students can achieve success and become productive citizens. The school's mission statement is, the DeWitt Road School community will provide a safe, respectful, and stimulating environment that is intellectually demanding, values diversity, and ensures continuous learning. So whether a student's going to Chase Farm Market with either Mrs. Amato, Mrs. Connor, Mrs. Hoban, or Mrs. Giacomo's second grade class, or enjoying an educational experience at the Webster Public Library with Mr. Dorner or Mrs. Reese's third grade class, or even just attending the 5th grade roller skating event, the care and compassion of each teacher is present for each and every student, each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I don't see PTSA, do you? No. All right. Thank you, everyone, for those reports. We'll move now into our report. Carmen, School Board?
So the week of October 27th through Halloween, October 31st, is actually School Board Recognition Week. And because we don't have a meeting that week, we wanted to recognize our board tonight. So we'd like to take this opportunity to salute our 7 committed Webster Board of Education members who have devoted tirelessly, volunteer countless hours of time for all of our students and the continued excellence for our district. They truly are the voice of our community in public education. They have been dedicated to addressing needs of our students, our teachers, our faculty, staff, and all of our Webster citizens. I am very grateful for their support and their guidance and their candor. And certainly when it comes to the needs of all 11 of our schools, they have those needs at the forefront of their decisions, and they make my job a pleasure. So I know I was not a history teacher when I was in the classroom, but here's some quick historical facts about boards of education. They've been in existence in New York State since the 1790s, when laws were passed to let its citizens elect school boards. And the first school districts were formed shortly after in 1812. So there's a rich history of importance of school boards in Webster as well. Collectively, our current board members have served the Webster School District for 44 years. That's a wealth of experience. They provide an insight on how boards work, and many of our board members are former teachers, retired or current school administrators, and respected business people. Again, this is a volunteer position that demands much of their free time, and I am thankful, and I know all of us in this room are thankful to all of you who choose to serve our community and public education in this way. Finally, I wanted to add a personal note of thanks to our Board of Ed members, their families, and their spouses, who loan to us their significant others for this important role. So we'd like to, Cindy and I and Jim, among all the district office staff, would like to recognize your efforts with a very small token.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You want us to open these?
Yep. All right, so on 3. 1, 2, 3. Open them up. So you can use these at Autumn Fanfare on Saturday. So it's a beautiful. So it's a stadium blanket, and Sue, you can wear it at board meetings, because I know you're so cold many times, right? So
Sweater vest?
it's not a sleeping bag; it's a stadium blanket.
Brian was the only one that heard that.
Yeah, that's right, I didn't hear anything. So thank you, Cindy, for making this happen.
I wanted to know if this was a sweater vest for Dave. Thank you. Well, since we're doing presentations, the board has a presentation to make tonight. So I'm going to ask Sue and Tom to lead this for us.
Jim, the Board of Education would like to recognize you for your service to the Webster School District. At 30 years, you've had the longest career of a senior administrator in Webster. You've been our chief financial officer and have been in charge of our transportation, buildings and grounds, and food service for a long, long time and handled it very well. Thank you. Your leadership's been key to our financial success over 30 years. Our audits are always clean, both the internal and the external. Where we have slight needs of correction, you see that it's done and done completely, so thank you. Our fiscal stress indicator that the state put us through in an audit last year goes from 0 to 100 in Webster, and 100 being lower. It's not good to have a very high number here. We're 6.7%. We're at the other end of the scale. So Jim, a lot of that has to do with her fiscal awareness and aptitude. Our taxes continue to be one of the lowest in Monroe County and have been for years. Our budget passage rate, since you've been at the helm in your tenure, is 92%, which included 29 of 30 traditional budgets and 5 out of 7 bonds over the years. Thank you.
Jim has successfully led numerous building projects, which has provided our space for additional students, as well as provided our students with opportunities in various sports and extracurricular activities. Jim has been instrumental in leading, developing, and implementing the Healthcare Consortium, saving Webster and other local districts $4 million annually since its inception. And Jim was also recognized by NYSER, which is the New York State Insurance Reciprocal, and served as president, helping other districts understand the complications and benefits of joining insurance programs. Jim, your career has had many accomplishments that you should be very proud of, and the board wishes you the very best in your next endeavors. So Jim, thank you very much for your service to Webster, and we have a small token of our appreciation.
It's not tickets to the Yankees either.
Thank you. Your certificate, Penfield Country Club.
We know you'll use it well.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much. And it's been my honor to serve this board in this district and work with all the great people for 30 years, and I will miss everyone, and I wish you all well. So, thank you.
Wish you the best. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the work of the Fine Arts Department. And if you remember, Board, we actually heard from art last year, so tonight it's going to be more a music focus. So we're very excited to hear about the initiatives, the achievements, the obstacles, and the future work of our music program. So, Joanna? Hi. Hello.
Thank you. We're very excited to be here this evening, and to help me out in presenting our fine arts report tonight is Mrs. Brenda Nitsch, who is our vocal music teacher at Thomas High School. As we talk this evening about our entire arts program, we will remind everybody that while it's the critical spirit that creates, it's also the critical spirit that achieves. And I think we'll be able to show you some ways that the arts department is working on that. We'll first begin by talking comprehensively about the music and art department as a unified arts department. So when we talk about the kindergarten and the elementary programs, we think about how K-5, we have general music classes and art classes throughout all of our schools. These are taught in a grade-by-grade curriculum. They're taught in common units. Now, the teachers in our districts have established these, and this is a great way for us to benchmark across 7 schools and a lot of kids and where we are at all times. We're again dipping our toe into the standards-based report card era by looking at the new national standards that will soon be adopted in New York State. So we're all kind of taking a stretch and looking at these. Beyond the daytime teaching, there are also other enrichment opportunities for students. We have visiting artists. We have visiting artists in music and art that put on assemblies for students, work on murals, do art shows, and also musicals that are held within our elementary school buildings. We also have out-of-the-day instruction that now occurs through our morning activity period. Our art club participation is at max in all of our elementary schools, which is just great. We have very successful activity period ensembles as well. In this chart, you're going to see what the percentage of student enrollment is those across the district. Now, we can take as many students in these ensembles as want to be in them, because that's how music is formed. It's a bit different than the art program. And so you'll see that the grade 4 ensembles in band, orchestra, and chorus are higher than they are in 5. So that becomes a bit of our challenge, just think, how are we retaining some of those kids in the program as they move forward? But these are still very great numbers. In our secondary art program, beginning in the middle school, we continue the arts exploration that students started in elementary school. We have them apply those ever-growing skills in new interest areas, in different music courses, in different artworks. Because of the largesse of the district, we've been adding more and more technological resources to these programs in middle schools. We have Mac laptops in the art rooms, and we're using Smart Music and Finale in our music. I'm sorry, those are in the art rooms and in the music rooms. So students are really getting a good taste of what technology has to offer for them in the arts. The guided experiences they receive in middle school prepares them for some high school choices, as well as the exciting Titan Warrior days. Mr. Gamino, when you were in the gym the other day, I bet it was a bit like a Titan Warrior day too at the middle schools. The kids are really excited to hear from upperclassmen what they can do when they finally move up. Let's go. In our high school courses, we have as many options as students have interests, and I think that's a great thing for the district. We have very sequenced programs in both art and music, and both of those levels or kinds of programs culminate in AP capstone courses, where students are really prepared to move on if they want to make this area their major. Students, again, have multiple opportunities for display purposes of their art, whether it's through competitions or in the village or in other areas, and you'll see that our music students always take part in the opportunities outside of the district, as well as our own annual concerts and programs. I'm not sure how many other districts can offer both 3 and 5 unit sequences in the art, but we're really proud that we can. And it has to do with how we've structured the programs all the way through. Again, students will be well prepared if they choose this to be a focus for them in their later lives. That technology resource I spoke of, wow. We can do so much now in the art rooms. Students are painting digitally. Some of the artwork you see in district office is not done with their hand on the paper, but instead on a stylus. And we can also use music resources to record students in time while they're rehearsing. And so they can turn it around immediately and they can all comment and learn from it. So we thank the district for that very much. Something we're very excited about is a new Regents initiative, and it's an arts pathway to graduation. This was talked about on a September 15th meeting, and again on next Monday, Regents will be addressing this new initiative. It's to take effect in 2015, so we better get going. It involves a rigorous course of study, much as I've described, but it also culminates in a New York State common assessment in whatever art is selected for this pathway. Okay? Those are yet to be designed, and there are some good sources for those as we look to those. Again, this shows the Regents and their recognition of how important the arts are to the future of everything that we find in New York and beyond. And so we're really excited about this. Kind of geeky, huh? But it's great. The balance of our report is really going to focus a lot on music because that's what we're going to do. And so what we're going to start off by talking about is how essential we need to begin skill work with students in order for them to transition through upper grades. We talk about this as a basic musicianship. And you see a picture of young children singing because that's where it starts. The idea that we need to build some kind of a reference point in their minds, in their ears, so they can sing in tune. Yes, we can teach that. So that they can move to a steady beat, and we can teach that. And using those skills, they develop what we call aural, A-U-R-A-L skills, where they can actually hear what they need to do to improve or what they're doing so very well. Okay. Let's click. So it does start early. And the teachers in elementary school really work to develop their basic musicianship in many ways. As I mentioned, in-tune singing is essential. The sense of beat is essential to any future experiences in music. And to do this, they use research-based instructional methods that have been tried and true and are developmentally sequenced, so students can gain this fluency at the right age of their own development. They use common, reliable, and valid measures for assessment, and many of these have been developed by our own teachers who know our own students and know what we can provide and where students should be at different ages. The different classroom activities support all of this because, of course, you have to continue to make music in order to get better at music. And in this way, they're growing consistency in those singing and movement skills. I know that you've heard about the term gradual release because we use it in almost every content area, and music is no different. As students begin to learn music, it comes through this word modeling, which is not about clothing, but it has to do with a teacher who will show and demonstrate a skill that a student is so soon going to learn. For a long time, this guided instruction happens as the teacher participates with students. And eventually, that kind of moves into more of a collaborative kind of a group singing, where students are supporting each other. Eventually, we like them to get to independent singing and other musical tasks. You're going to see a very brief video of a first grade classroom singing, and I think you're going to hear what we're working on as we work to get them all singing in tune, matching pitch, and singing independently.
Rico's Pizza Restaurant, any pizza that you want. All our pies have extra cheese. May I take your order, please? One size, medium, please. What topping? Pepperoni, please. What crust? Cheese crust. Thank you for your order, Rico's.
So you might hear the developing tonalities that comes about through regular instruction at this very basic level. But without that, we can't continue. Let's see. As they move into middle school, or actually upper elementary school and middle school, we start having them sing, perhaps in different parts. We combine these, but yet we support the different group roles because by increasing size of ensembles, students have a big peer pool on any part. And so we know that they're getting support even from each other in this as they're being taught the parts by their teachers. Mastering these individual basic skills moves them into applying them in new situations. It's the transfer piece. And it happens so gradually that all of a sudden they're just there. We find that this gradual release of support just continues at a higher level as a spiral as we continue through the upper grades. Now I'd like you to just try and imagine for a moment, in that little video you saw of those first graders singing, what they could be like and how they could actually prepare music and perform it 10 years in their future with the same guided instruction.
There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. And the beauty that I saw in everything, the beauty in everything was in her eyes. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. So I never knew that my nose was too flat, and I never knew that my skin was too black, and I never knew that my clothes didn't fit, and I never knew there were things that I missed, and the beauty in everything was in her eyes. Was in her eyes. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. And I was intrigued by the cracks in the walls, the dust in the sun looked like snow that would fall. The noise in the hallway was music to me. The trash and the rubbish would cushion my feet, and the beauty in everything was in her eyes. Was in her eyes. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. The world outside was a magical place. I only knew love and I didn't know hate. The beauty in everything was in her eyes. Was in her eyes. Child, look deep into my 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 eyes.
Does this mean we have to order more pepperoni cheese pizza?
It's entirely up to you. I God, I wish it was done, because I don't know how. But I'd like Mrs. Brendan-Ish to talk a bit to you about what you heard and how this gets accomplished, this exceedingly high level of basic musicianship.
Hi. So when we choose vocal repertoire, we try to find music that teaches us something about ourselves, about each other, about the world around us, and of course challenges us musically. So before I even gave them the piece that you just heard, I asked them, what would it be like to grow up in a house without mirrors? And so some of the answers were, I would have to rely on other people for validation. I would judge people less by the way they looked. I would have more confidence. And this one was a little humorous. I probably wouldn't have a very good sense of style or fashion. So this song is sung from the perspective of a young black girl who's saying that she wasn't reminded on a daily basis of the color of her skin, and that her Nana instilled in her that color didn't matter. So then we decided to talk about what are the stereotypes that we face. Some of the things we said were people were thin or tall, or they were poor or emotionally challenged. So there were a lot of things, a lot of stereotypes that get in our way of being our best. Students in select choir are very much a part of the process. They decide amongst themselves what the dynamics are. Oftentimes, they will decide how they're going to stand for a concert, whether we do it in sections or mixed. And at the end of the year, we all decide what our final repertoire piece is going to be. The students were standing all around the room, not by their own parts. So we work a lot on interdependence. They have to be independent with their part. They've got to know what they're singing, but they also have to know how to work in a group and how to collaborate. When they go to math class and take a test and they get a 95, that's their grade. And it doesn't matter how the person sitting next to them does. But in an ensemble, it matters because you are as strong as your weakest link. So everybody has to be a contributing member. Also important in our ensemble work is this feeling of being safe. We have to create a safe space where kids are free to share and are free to make creative decisions for the best of the ensemble. So we work a lot on creating that safe space. And finally, we do a lot of self-reflection. After every performance, a student will talk about things that we do well, things that we need to work on. We always focus on the positive first, because there's always great things that happen in every performance. And then we talk about things that we can work on. We also record ourselves and reflect. We stand in circles. The students love to stand in circles, so we can see each other and we can hear each other. And probably the most important part of the work we do in ensemble is about the process. It's all about the process. I say that till I'm blue in the face. It doesn't matter. I mean, the performance is great. If you get out there and do wonderful, super. But if you didn't have a good process, it really isn't all that amazing. It's about the process. If they go to class and they have a wonderful musical experience, if they've connected in some way, if they've learned something about themselves and their lives, to me and to them, I hope, that's so meaningful and so powerful. And if we have a good performance, then yay. So this is Taryn Scott, and Taryn is a musician at Thomas, involved in everything. So I'm going to let her talk to you a little bit about the impact that the music department has had on her life.
Well, I think the question should really be, how hasn't the music department influenced my life? Because, I don't know, I grew up in a really musical family. Like, my dad is, he plays the saxophone among other instruments, and my mom was always, like, you know, singing show tunes and stuff. And I guess it all started when I was in, like, 3rd grade, and I was watching, you know, my brother and sister, you know, learn their instruments and singing in chorus, and I was like, when can I do that? And I was just, like, really excited when I got my saxophone in 4th grade and I could, you know, participate in chorus. And I guess it just really never stopped from there. Now I'm in almost every single chorus class, band, I'm in AP Music Theory, and I don't know, I'm actually going into musical theater as a career for college. So, I mean, how much more influential can music be? Like, I mean, come on. But, so yeah, I guess it's just, music has been all my life, and I just don't know.
And your family.
And my family, my life, everything, and I don't know what I would even be doing if I didn't have music at all, so I guess that's, yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Taryn.
you.
I'm going to have to move on. I'm sorry, but thank you so much. And thank all of you, boys and girls. As we talk a bit about what you heard tonight, we've talked as a department in setting goals. Because wouldn't a great goal to have every student be in an ensemble like this and be able to continue in their lives making these kinds of major decisions and having them be successful at it. But it has to start young. And so we've talked about how as a department, a full department, we can empower students to be self-reliant yet contribute to almost the business model that you just saw tonight. So we're going to be looking at developing student-led practices in our ensembles more often and much in the way that Mrs. Nitsch spoke about. But this, we call it the RER, rehearse, evaluate, refine. Having students help to guide these rehearsals they have all the time with each other by making comments on what goes well and what they need to improve upon, hence the evaluation, but then making the choices about refinement. And we discussed how to do this in the youngest ensembles at grade 5, moving it to middle school, and eventually up and through high school. So we're really excited about this because it helps us bring different strands of our teaching together in common goals. We were asked to talk about strengths in our departments. Our UPK partnership at the elementary level with the Eastman School of Music is a shining point. We are able to offer consistently offered music in our UPK classrooms, and I don't know this happens in other areas. It depends a bit on our Eastman students that come out, as well as teachers who have been trained, who are not musicians, in those UPK rooms to offer music to students. Tomorrow, if any of you are available, you might like to see our attention through the music department to early literacy in the kindergarten program. We've invited a national clinician, her name is Lynn Kleiner, who will be presenting for the day in our WPLC. Kindergarten teachers and UPK teachers, as well as our general music teachers, will be working on music activities that develop literacy in kindergartners. So 10 o'clock is when the little kindergartners are actually going to be a demo group. We like to live on the edge, so we're going to invite you to come on out and view this if you like, and we're kind of excited about it, and I appreciate the interest from our kindergarten teachers. As I mentioned before, our before school program is working very well through activity periods, and we appreciate the busing support that enables this so that transportation is not a barrier to students taking part in it. And we have collaborative concerts with our high school ensemble groups for our 5th grade students as a culminating point to their unit on symphony orchestras. And so we found that teachers, students on both sides of the stage actually enjoy this so very much, and it becomes real because those students can see where they could eventually go, and the high school students remember where they were. When we look at the secondary program, we're using technology in music now, just not for performance, but we're using it in composition classes in our middle schools as well as in our AP Music Theory program. We are having this year our 3rd rotation of an annual feeder pattern concert just for band. So 5th graders up through 12th will be in this concert on either side of town, never all at once, so that they get to experience and families see what the program also entails. You've heard students this evening, and they're representative of the increasing numbers of students who are being accepted into honors ensembles throughout the area. Those acronyms stand for All County, Area All State, Northeast Honors, and our National Honors Ensembles, where for the first year we will have a student involved. As well as that, we have attention from college programs to look at our theory program in music, because students that we graduate that go on to take theory in colleges in the area as well as SUNY schools keep saying, what's happening in Webster? These students are prepared, and we need to take a look at how you're doing this, because so many other students are arriving needing remediation. At the same time, we have challenges, as any department does. In our elementary program, in our chorus and our activity period, we continue to experience a bit of frustration in keeping the right people in the classroom with the students. Yearly, we have to replace those chorus teachers just because they get jobs in other districts. This is a very small part-time commitment. And of course, they leave for career choices. I think we need to get a bit more creative in how we can make that happen so instruction's more consistent for our elementary students. In secondary, we're kind of anticipating next year to see a really big difference in the enrollments at our middle schools. As that comes along, as well as our increased enrollments in our middle school orchestra program, another anticipated staffing think. What should we do to make this work best for kids so, again, they retain that same level of support? That increased participation I talked about in our honor ensembles, great news, but it also infers increased levels of financial support. Thanks, Jim. Sorry to see you go. So I'm sure you're going to hear from me a little bit at budget time about that need, because we're going to some other funding sources outside of my own budget calls for that. Okay. Probably the thing that we really think about a lot and don't always have solutions for is the retention of our students going from grade 8 to grade 9 in our music programs. different years, it's balanced in different ways. What you see in front of you is data that talks about last year's 8th grade ensemble students moving to high school ones. In high school, at times, they're in mixed groupings, too, so it isn't a solid 8th graders in chorus go to a 9th grade chorus, and on and on. So you'll see some differences between levels, between ensembles. And in our district-wide PLC, we've been talking about why do we see changes from year to year, and what are ways that we can work as teachers in the district and as our programs to increase that retention of students staying involved in our music program. And so really, we thank you. We really want to make sure we extend our thank yous to you, the Board of Education, and especially to our school district community who supports us so well within all of the arts that we carry out. Our administration, most of all our students, all are active in having a best community for music education. I truly believe that you believe that Webster is where music is worth making, and that we really know it's not that, but it's really more than just music. So we'd like to close and answer any questions you may have of us, any of us.
Let's start with Ann.
First of all, thank you. I don't know how anybody can ever top what you students did. It was just thrilling. So thank you so much. And Brenda, thank you for your many years. I relied on you many times during Senior Citizens Day, so thank you for that. I also really do want to just kind of highlight, in your summary, you talked about something that I totally do embrace, that it isn't just about learning an instrument, keeping a tune, using a brush well. It really is about all of those other soft skills, and that the personal dedication and the ability to work and the risk-taking is so incredibly important in life, and I can't think of anything riskier than that first solo or that first audition for that first solo, and it takes tremendous safety in order to do that. So the staff does a great job on that. So thank you for all of that. I did have one question, though, when I was looking at the comparisons at the elementary level. So am I correct that our extracurricular activity, our music and our art, is limited to before school now? Is there any during the day instruction?
Yes, during the day, students continue to have art class in their
Okay.
grade level classes. They continue to have general music. They have
General music,
lessons
okay.
in their band and orchestra
Okay.
instruments. So that does continue in the school day.
Okay,
Yes. Mhm.
so students that don't have, for whatever reason, an opportunity to do the activity period prior to the day do still have an opportunity then?
Oh, of course.
Okay, and I was pretty sure of that,
Sure.
but I just wanted to verify that in my own mind, so.
It's the ensemble issue and the art club
Yeah.
exploration. in
Those
fourth
were
and fifth
those
grade.
are just bonuses, so, in other
Yes.
words, so. That was really my only question, so thank you so much.
Thanks.
Tom?
Just wanted to say thank you for the report, the music, it was beautiful. One of the things when reading through, when we were talking about challenges in previous weeks that different departments may have, one of the things that I've noticed, but it was displayed so well in the report and on the screen, is how quickly the students after middle school drop in some of these things. And I know, speaking for myself and probably Mike, when we watched the marching band in the past with 180 to 200 kids with band and color guard combined, and now we field a very capable but much smaller band
Yes.
going forward in a district that's grown quite a bit since the mid-'90s. And it's just hard to try to figure out as a challenge how to increase that participation. I know there was an effort to bring some students in a little bit earlier age
Yes.
and you know, to get them interested in it. And I just hope we can pay some attention to that going forward, because along with our sports, music shines in this district.
We do talk about it a lot, Tom. I mean, societally, culturally, and academically, students are pulled, you know, and music is an academic as well as art. I mean, so
Yeah.
they have a lot on their plates, and I know, we always hope it's us that they choose. So I thank you for that comment, because I think we're all feeling that.
Thank you.
No question, thank you. Great presentation, especially to the students. I noticed on your, I don't say a night off, but you're taking time to come visit us and show us your talents. So I'll just say music to my ears. How's that?
Thanks, Tom. That's great, Paul.
That was awesome. I was sitting here looking at the audience, which we do when we're sitting up here, and I'm thinking, oh, who are these people and what are they going to do, you know? And
They were coached,
and
too. They couldn't tell you why.
It was great, though. What a surprise. It was awesome. Yeah, very nicely done. I was wondering, I have a couple questions. I was wondering about the activity period ensembles in elementary school. Is there overlap? Students who take band and orchestra or orchestra and chorus? So there are some kids who will do more than one?
Yes, those are per ensemble that you're seeing percentages for. They have a choice every week of 4 different activities because we do them Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays. So they can choose from among art, PE, intramurals, and they can choose chorus or an instrumental ensemble. So students could actually be busy every morning before school, or they eventually they do choose more singly as they advance through the grades.
Yeah.
But it gives them that time to look and see, can I do it and do I like it?
Right.
And that's where I think you see some of the 5th grade change,
Yeah.
because now they've maybe gone into one area and come out of
Right.
another. So-
Okay. Well, that makes sense because the percentages weren't adding up quite right. But that's
It's all about
why.
math, isn't it?
So another question I have, and forgive me for the ignorance here. Do we teach art in all of our middle school grades?
No.
Okay, we don't.
No, we have a 6th
Okay.
grade and an 8th grade. We've
And
been
we-
talking about how to accomplish that.
Yeah.
And a lot of good strategies for it. So those talks are ongoing, and looking for ways to involve students more in art every grade
Right.
in the middle school.
I would be very supportive of that. When you think about kids in music, do you, and this is just curiosity, I mean, you have students who are going to go into music as a career, and then you have, a lot of students who are average musicians, but who, when participating in the program, it really helps them be a better student all around. Do you have different ways of coaching kids into different kinds of classes based on, their skills or their lifelong dreams?
In the music classes alone,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, well, in an art as well.
And one of the things that happens in the art program is that actually that very first year in high school, we start having almost 2 paths. We have what we call a studio and art course where students work in both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional artwork. But at the same time, we also have an entry-level course called Contemporary Crafts, which is all about 3-dimensional work. Students come eventually to decide that one of those areas is their stronger suit. And so they'll tend to go off in those 2 different directions. So, but that first year is a nice year where the studio and art gives them the chance to try both, medias. And so then they'll move on from that. So they have a lot of choice in that area. What happens often in music is that it's hard to get back into or to get into an ensemble such as band or orchestra if they hadn't played earlier. So some of that is a decision maker for them.
Right.
Choruses, it's I could bet, Mrs. Nitz, you often have kids coming into 9th grade chorus that might not have been in before. And so we can work in that way because it's not an instrument that has had sequential instruction in the way lessons have.
Oh, right,
So part of
right.
it, we do encourage kids to be in theory, just for so many reasons.
Yeah.
And we found that kids, even that don't stay in music as a major, value music theory.
Right.
In colleges.
Cool. Very good. The feeder pattern concerts, when are those?
They'll be in March. I'm sorry, I can't remember specific dates. We've got a
Okay.
few of them. So there will be, there's different kinds of feeder patterns. There's the ones where the high school performs just for the 5th graders, and there's one at Thomas and one at Schrader. And then there are also 2 other feeder pattern concerts of band students only, up from 5th through 12th grade. So I can make sure I get you those
That'd be
specifically,
great.
so you'll know. Yep.
Thank you very much. That was.
And there's also prison concerts next week.
Yes, there are.
And don't forget this Saturday,
And autumn fair.
Autumn Fair. Yeah.
Carm?
Well, first of all, Brenda, and to all of your students, just a memorable Board of Education meeting. Probably never had one like this ever before. So thank you very much for giving about an hour and a half of your time on a very busy evening. At least it's before Friday, so hopefully you guys can maybe sleep in. No, actually, you got to get the first period tomorrow. That's right. So, but what's really neat is no matter how often I hear, whether it's at the elementary level or middle school or high school, there's something about music that goes directly to our soul and just speaks to our soul. Whether or not you are totally musically uninclined, like I am, or as gifted as you guys are. So it brought tears to my eyes. It brought tears to another gentleman's eyes right next to me, but I won't embarrass Mr. Nespeka.
Too late.
And what's really neat, you talked about the continuum. You talked about how kids can improve from first grade through. And there are two students that are sitting behind Dr. Siebert to her left, Amanda and Jeremy, who I have been able to watch since, Amanda I've been watching since she was in 5th grade, and Jeremy since he was in 6th grade. And, to watch their improvement has been just incredible. And, you talk about, Anne, how how fearful it can be to do those solos, and I've been able to watch them do their solos for those 4 or 5 years, and their improvement under Mrs. Nitsch has been incredible as well, so thank you. And last but not least, when you look at the talents and the skills and the future success of the 20 students that came, approximately 20 students, it is such a reminder to us that success is not all about courses that end in an AP or a Regents exam. So when you think of the arts and music and what you guys are learning in those, it's even though Mrs. Nitsch doesn't give you a Regents exam at the end of voice class, think about all that you've learned, and those skills that you take are going to be so valuable. So that's something that I need to keep in mind, and I'm sure the board has been keeping that in mind too, that it's not all about APs and not all about Regent scores. So thank you.
Thank you.
Students, we really appreciated your efforts tonight. And board members, I'm going to ask that you give each of the students a little pin that says imagine, believe, and achieve. So let's do that right now.
I think they have to vote on that they take this report. Okay. And just a minute, we'll walk them out. If they have to act on the report.
Thank you.
Okay. I have one. Well, I think you do. You've done this. I got one. Looking.
Board members, this does take action. May I please have a motion to accept the arts report?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Excellent report.
Thank you.
Carmen, can we have a report from you, please?
Pretty tough to follow that. So I'll sing my report.
What kind of pizza?
More of us crying if you do.
So the 29th Annual Autumn Fanfare Field Show and Competition is this Saturday. It's in 48 hours, October 18th. Webster Schrader Stadium gates open at 4:30. The national anthem begins at 5:20, and then it's followed by the start of the show at 5:30. Tickets are available at Hagedorn's for $6 and at the gate for $8. And admission is just $2 for Webster students, faculty, and staff. So, and what you get in return is an amazing event filled with great music from premier marching bands from across Western New York. Also, a quick congratulations to our very own Webster marching band. The Pride of Webster took home first place during a recent competition in Syracuse and is currently undefeated at competitions as a member of the New York State Field Band Conference Large School Second Division. Come see why by experiencing this talented group of Webster musicians in person this Saturday at the much-anticipated Autumn Fanfare. For more information, you can visit webstermarchingband.webs.com. So, a piece of exciting news for our district. Webster has once again been asked to host a regional Link Crew Leadership Training Conference later this month. Link Crew is a nationally modeled peer mentoring and leadership program started by the Boomerang Project. Link helps freshman students adjust to high school life thanks to the leadership and support of upperclassmen Link leaders, and they're usually juniors and seniors. We've adopted the program here in Webster, and nearly 200 students from our district and 5 other regional districts will gather at Webster Thomas on October 23rd to share best practices and learn from a national Boomerang Project trainer. There's always lots of great energy when these student leaders get together and share ideas about what makes their link crews work so well. It's sure to be a great day for all involved. Next, I'd like to remind Webster Elementary School parents that there is a half day for students coming up on Thursday, October 23rd, 1 week from today. That is the first of 2 days for parent-teacher conferences. Conferences will continue next Friday, the 24th, when elementary students K-5 will be off the entire day. So next Thursday, it's a half day of instruction, and next Friday, the kids are all home all day. This is a change from years past, as conferences were previously held in November. Parents will also have an opportunity for an additional conference in March 2015. We hope that this new biannual conference schedule allows for even more communication between parents and teachers regarding the accomplishments of their children. October 23rd is looking like a very busy day in the district. That Thursday, which is next Thursday, is also the date for Senior Citizens Day, a great event annually sponsored by our Board of Education. Senior citizens who live in the Webster Central School District were mailed invitations earlier this month to attend what is always a highlight of our fall season for our senior citizens and our students. Our seniors will gather at Webster Schrader High School to enjoy entertainment from Webster musical ensembles, along with a delicious meal and the ever-popular door prizes. It's an event that is not to be missed. And hopefully my mom and dad got their reservations in. Finally, I'd like to thank all Webster School District staff who were involved with the Flower City Down Syndrome Network Buddy Walk that the district hosted last Saturday, October 5th, for the second time at Webster Thomas High School. This event is a great way for our community to join in promoting the awareness and celebration of the many accomplishments of infants, children, teens, and adults with Down syndrome. Webster Schools was proud to host this wonderful event and thankful to our staff that supported all that went into planning for the successful day in our community. That ends my report.
Thank you, Carmen. We'll now move into board business. Board members will remember about 2 weeks ago we met with Ray Wagner and he went over the financial situation for Webster. Today in front of us we actually have his audit report. Jim, do you have any comments on it other than the fact that it shows that we're doing a good job?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This is what will be sent to the state now in response to the audit. And there was one prior year that we're still continuing to work on, which is the EBLR, spending down that EBLR. And there was one current and 2 prior year that had been completed. So you heard about those last week, and I recommend approval to the board.
Any questions from the board? Then may we have a motion, please, to accept the audit report from Ray Wagner?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Now, since we don't have another school board meeting before Election Day, we've had some people ask about the Smart School Bond Act proposition that's going to appear on the ballot on November 4th. Now, the board normally does not take a position on an item that would come before the public on a November ballot. But since people are asking, I thought we'd go over some of the details and the finer points. This bond proposition is going to authorize the sale of state bonds of up to $2 billion. Now, this money is supposedly going to be used to provide access to classroom technology, high-speed internet connectivity. The bill also includes funding for added classroom space for the purpose of expanding pre-kindergarten programs, to replace classroom trailers with actual permanent instructional space. And they're also installing high-tech smart security features in school. Personally, I think it sounds like a noble effort. However, there are many questions that are left unanswered, and the fine print must be carefully read for the unintended consequences. I don't know if other board members have any feelings on this particular?
I would like to bring up a couple of points. One of the things that bothers me in reading through this information that we received about it is that it started off with the technology aspect of things. And in technology, we know that we have a situation where it becomes obsolete traditionally in 3 to 5 years, and that's if you buy some top-end equipment. And you're funding something for 20 years, and the government financial areas right downstate have said, you don't go into debt to bond something that's going to go obsolete. So they're not even taking, the legislator's not even taking its own advice. And it bothers me to the fact that we don't know that if this passes, what it might do to the attempts of the government, the legislature, to minimize the effect of the gap elimination adjustment. This money, we hope, would not take the place of the reduction of that adjustment. And again, it's nothing really concrete in the verbiage. The state supposedly is going to be getting $17 billion in a settlement from a French bank that was found guilty of improprieties. And they would be able to fund some of these things directly to targeted districts that may need this help. But instead, they're putting it up to the public in November on the ballot to be able to say, vote for this, we'll go out and purchase these bonds or sell these bonds. And I'm just having trouble because everybody's going to think, oh, it's free money, it's coming from the state. It's still your tax dollars that it's coming out of the state tax coffers. So personally, if someone were to come up and ask me, I personally couldn't support it.
Any other comments? Ann?
One of the issues I've had is each school district will then receive money. However, what we don't know is that money then going to go towards our cap? And we lose control, our local control when that happens. So that's a real concern. I know many board members have things, but that's one of the issues that alarms me about this particular initiative.
Just to kind of make it clear on the logistics, so everybody in the state votes for it. Yes, then school districts all get a certain amount of money. How is that allocated? Do we really know?
It's a formula.
Right, it's a formula, going back to what you're saying about the gap elimination a little bit too. And then if voted no down by the people in the state, we don't know where that money is going to happen with that money either.
They won't take out a $2 billion
We'll know what we have with our own budget as it
Right,
is.
right.
We'll be able to control that.
Yeah.
Right,
Because my understanding, this money is very much targeted, so you're limited, you can't go in general funds.
right.
Yeah, when I started reading about this, I kept trying to find something in it that helped me understand why they would put this on the ballot, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I haven't been able to find the small print that tells us what's good about it. I mean, yes, schools get funding for technology, but like my fellow board members have said, the length of the bond to pay back the bond certainly exceeds the life of the technology that you're supposed to spend it on. The tax cap is certainly an issue. If you're spending, I think Webster's allocation was $4 million. Does that go against our tax cap? And is this just a shot in the arm rather than the sustained funding that we need? So I'm personally not in favor of it, and it appears to be very popular downstate, and to counteract the numbers downstate, we certainly would need a lot of people to vote against it.
Right, it sounds like some districts that aren't in the best of financial shape as we are would want something like this, but we're in pretty good financial shape, so it's not going to benefit us necessarily. Is that accurate?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's just also one logistic thing that is interesting. The proposition, which is number 3, will appear on the back of the ballot. So it's going to be really easy to miss it. So it's important to be aware of where it's placed.
Yeah, it's on the back.
Got to flip it over.
Got to flip it over.
Yeah, and there's just not a lot of press about it. I mean, people don't know about it.
Well, thank you for that discussion, board members. We also have on our agenda, does anyone want a new copy of the school law book?
Since I don't have one, yes. I know it is reprinted every year. It may not be up, every 2 years. So yes, I would like to have one since I don't. And I'm up often during the night, so.
And I think it's good to have one for the district, and then, you know, we can all use it, and you get one, and then there'll be one in our library. That'd be,
Okay, all set with that? All right. Let's move on to our school liaison reports. Paul, do you have anything to report?
Oh, yes. Tomorrow evening, Family Fun Night at Clem South, PTSA sponsored. And then for October 31st, a costume parade. And when's our next board's November 6th, so I'll wait till then.
Sue, anything?
yeah, for Schlegel Road, tomorrow night is there's a fall dance at a scarecrow contest. There's a craft show November 15th. And there's also an after-school club for, I think, the students at Schlegel and DeWitt, a Culture Kids Club, and they'll be learning Spanish after school. And the next PTSA meeting is November, and I forgot. I think 4th.
I'll probably get it down. I got it down. It'll be down there. Okay. Ann?
I had an opportunity to stop in at the literacy night that was held at Clem South, and I just had a great time. I meant to maybe spend 20 minutes, and I was there almost to the end. I mean, it was incredible to see the creative ways that teachers were working with the youngest students. I got some holiday ideas for my own grandchildren, so that was an added bonus. I also, at Clem North, they had a brief conversation about the survey that is on our website and promoting the completion of the survey as in attendance at the upcoming focus groups. They have their next meeting also in November, but also on October 31st will be their costume parade. Actually, Plank South's open house is tonight, and they also have a holiday or a costume parade on the 31st, so busy times for all of our schools. You know, I just wanted to add one more thing if I could. It isn't really a school report, but I just wanted to recognize a collaboration with our Weibo and also Henderson Ford. I don't know how many of you are aware of this. It's a great opportunity for our seniors, and there's an opportunity for our seniors to win a 2015 Ford Focus. And senior students, yes, as opposed to me. I could use one too, but what I like about it is the criteria is, first of all, it's passing quarterly report card, 0 absences. It's also 5 or fewer tardies, and then participation in a school-sponsored team or club. It's just a great way of recognizing good traits, and I just think that's a great and generous program that Henderson Ford and Weibo are sponsoring, so I wanted to thank them for that. There will also be 2 monetary prizes for those that don't win the car.
Thank you, Ann. Tom, anything?
No, I have nothing to report tonight.
Last Wednesday was Cocoa with the principal at Spry, and it was well attended with about 20 parents. And Dave Swinson, the principal, he outlined some of the research on common formative assessments that the faculty is working on. There were various activities from the CARE team were discussed, and the protocol for school safety was mentioned. And there was the normal reports from the PTSA involving the various upcoming school events and activities. I just want to go over our calendar really quick. So tomorrow, October 17th, is a Clem South Family Fun Night. Ann, I think you said you were going to that. The marching band is Saturday. I know I'll be going. Ann, you'll be going. I don't know if anyone else.
I think I'm going.
Okay. Monday, October 20th, DeWitt has a PTSA. I don't know if we have anybody going to that one as yet. That's an open one. Okay.
I can't go either.
I'm sorry?
I can check my calendar.
All right. It's at DeWitt, 6:30. Tuesday, the 21st, there's a Plank South PTSA meeting. Ann, I believe you said you could go to that one. Is anyone here going to Senior Citizen Day? just, well, okay, board representative. Well, yeah, you are part. The community focus group, Mike, well, myself, Sue, Tom, Ian, Paul, I'll go into that, great.
Wait, what one? On the 23rd?
October 30th.
Oh, the 30th,
Yes.
okay.
Oh,
Okay.
did I say 23rd was the Senior Citizen Day?
Okay.
We also have on the 31st, I can't believe does Clem South have a PTSA meeting on the 31st?
In the morning, they
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even with the Halloween parade and
They
the,
have the, yeah, they tie that in,
they
oh, you
tie
can't
it.
make it.
the gremlin, yeah.
All right, so that's another one that we're gonna have to fill.
I could go to that one.
And I think you're doing Monday, November 3rd, Plank South
Right.
PTSA. There's also State Road PTSA on that date. Tom, you've got that one covered. I'll cover coffee with the administrators at Schrader. On Tuesday, November 4th, Election Day, Schlegel has a PTSA.
I'll go to
You'll make
that.
that one.
But there's also
Oh,
SEPTA.
SEPTA, so
Can you do SEPTA?
you'll do SEPTA?
Well, I could do both. I could just, I'll figure out a way. But go to SEPTA.
Time you can make SEPTA. And finally, on Wednesday, November 5th, there's the National Honor Society induction at Schrader. I can make that one. I don't know if anyone
What
else.
day of the week is that? Oh, that's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
What time is it?
It's 7 o'clock.
I will
Okay.
check. I would like to pop in if I could.
It's a nice event.
It is a
really
great
is.
event.
It's a great event.
All right, thank you, board members. We'll move on to the Monroe County School Board Association. Actually, steering is, we're going to have an upcoming meeting, so.
October 29th, and the agenda's routine.
Anything from legislative, Tom or Ian?
No, nothing new.
Okay, let me tell you about information exchange. We met last Wednesday. Debbie Bouvard, who is the district supervisor of school nutrition from Gates Chili, she gave an update on the federal nutrition program and its impact on the school lunch. And we also heard from Darren Kinney, who's the assistant superintendent for business at Pittsford, and he talked about the process that they used to opt out of the federal requirement for school lunches. And then yesterday, Labor Relations met, and we heard from Ron Mendrick, who's a lawyer from Harder, Seacrest, and Emory, on the state of tenure. We heard the who, the what, the when, the how, the why of tenure being applied, the processes for evaluation for tenure, the cost and discipline involved with tenure, alternatives that school boards can look at considering evaluations, improvement plans, and possible legislative reform. And if you know Ron Mendrick, you know his dry humor can be really interesting to listen to. Okay, Executive Committee, I have a report there. Besides the normal business matters that needed our attention, we heard from Jody Siegel, our Executive Director, that there will be a special informational meeting on Thursday, November 13th, and I believe, Tom, we've already talked to you about this, being able to go, to help boards learn about the Veterans Tax Exemption proposal. There's also, if anyone needs this, there's fiscal training conference on November 8th, okay? And we also talked about goals for the County School Board Association. The first goal is to have full funding for education, the restoration of the gap elimination adjustment funds. And we have a position paper, which I believe I sent to you, that you were able to take a look at. And the second goal that we're going to be working on is a survey of school board members. And the purpose really is to be able to provide anyone who's interested, particularly legislators, with information about who actually makes up the school boards. You know, it's sometimes interesting to say, you know, how educated we are and how involved in the community we are. And this might come to you, Cindy, because I think we're going to ask the board clerk to distribute it. That's the talk. I don't know if that's actually going to be happening, but that was the thought. So maybe if you get it, we can just take 5 minutes after a meeting one day and just fill it out.
Or it might be electronic.
That could be electronic. We're not exactly sure.
There was also, the Best for Less was up. The Monroe County School Board puts out the Best for Less. They do it every 2 years, and that's been updated, so it might be a resource that anybody could have to help promote fiscal responsibility amongst schools. And that was all I had.
Yep. All right, Tom, do you have anything from the state?
New York State School Boards Association will be represented starting tomorrow at the Northeast Region Conference that's held every year. Represents the 11 states up in the northeast part of the country. We're meeting in Connecticut. It helps us position the planks for legislative activity we like to see happen based on understanding of things that are happening in our states that can be taken up at a national level. And we will be, there will be a decision made on a candidate from the Northeast region to fill a vacancy.
Good luck, Tom.
Thank you.
We did audit today. We took a look at the audit report, and we thought the report was fine. Sue, anything on policy?
Actually, we're going to reschedule our meeting from the November 6th. That day just has too many things going on, so Cindy will take care of that.
Okay, nothing on budget advisory yet. Anything on strategic planning? I know you met today, Sue.
We met. We met today, and we scheduled a meeting for the group, which just happens to be November 6th, which is why we moved the policy meeting. And people who are on the committee will receive an email, and we're just gearing back up, trying to get our work done as much as we can before the holidays. A couple of our subgroups will work before the holidays, and then our final subgroup will be working using the data using the information that the first two subgroups put together for work for the spring.
Thank you. We mentioned the SEPTA meeting upcoming, Tom, but do you have anything else to report on that?
No, we reported the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Before we go to the consent agenda, I just want to remind the public that the survey for the interim superintendent attributes and characteristics is up until Friday. If you do not choose to do the survey, there are two public meetings. One is on October 30th at 6 o'clock at Schrader Auditorium, and the second one is November 13th, 6 o'clock at Schrader Auditorium. So we'd encourage people to either fill out the survey or attend one of those two particular meetings. Board members, you've had a chance to look at the consent agenda. It includes the recommendations of the superintendent for personnel actions on the Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Education. And personnel actions. May we have a motion, please, to accept the consent agenda?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Seeing no noes, motion carries. I just want to point out our next meeting is November 6th, 7 o'clock, right here. And with that being said, remember October 23rd, Senior Citizens Day, and this Saturday, Marching Band Autumn Fanfare. May we have a motion, please, to adjourn? All in favor? Good night, everyone.